Well, howdy YouTube, Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today, we're going to upgrade and update our Unifi Stack. We have all this lovely equipment in the rack, made by Unifi. I'm going to show you today how to get everything up to date and some things you need to be aware of. Well, like any other product on the planet, your car, your home, you name it, once you buy it, that's not the end of it. You've got to keep things updated. You've got to do repairs, that kind of thing. So Unifi has put out some updates for their Unifi controller software, which we're going to update today. And there have been some firmware updates on devices. So I typically like to wait a little while for Unifi to have these updates out, a week or two, make sure nobody else is having issues with them, and then I go ahead and roll them out. Now, where that doesn't apply is on critical updates. So if you've got a security-related update, I would recommend you do that just as soon as you possibly can. But let's go out and to the Unifi website and take a look at this last update. Alright, so I'm on the Unifi website and we're talking about upgrading to controller 5.13.29. So if you go in and take a look at the release notes, you'll see what improvements they have made. They're listed at the top here, and features. So they've added layer 3 switching. Tom over at Lawrence Systems covered the layer 3 switching for the USW Pro Series. So if you haven't checked out Tom's channel, go over and check it out. He does a pretty deep dive on that. Basically, I'm not going to read all these items off. You can go out to the website and read them. Now, Unifi is kind of notorious for releasing software sometimes before it's ready. It has in the past. I personally have not had any trouble with any Unifi updates, but that's not to say that you won't. So what you probably want to do is go through here and read, see what kind of fixes there are, what kind of issues there are, etc. Before you update. Now, I run my Unifi controller software right on my main rig because I don't go into it often enough. And here's the thing about the Unifi controller software. It does not need to be running if you're not using some of the more advanced features like, the Unifi video and that kind of thing. So you don't need to have this program running all the time. Some people prefer to put the Unifi controller onto a virtual machine or into a Linux container, which is fine. I just choose to run it here locally on my machine. I bring it up when I need it. And if for whatever reason I reboot my machine and it doesn't come up automatically, it's not the end of the world. However, you do need to be aware that, there are some things that some people have experienced in the past, and this is one of them. I currently am using the new Microsoft Edge browser, which is based on Chromium. And if you haven't used that browser, I strongly recommend you do. I'm going to do a review of it, a little, a poor man's review of the Edge browser, but that's what I'm using. But one of the things you're going to run into is it's going to tell you the browser you're using is not supported. You can pretty much ignore that and go ahead and use it, or you could use Google Chrome or Firefox. And then I don't know whether I would recommend you go into the forums and start reading on this update, because you're going to see a lot of, forums can bring out the negative in a lot of people, and a lot of times the information they give you is anecdotal and based on their experience, and you might never experience the problems they are. So don't let the comments in the forums get you worried about doing this update. Like I said, this is one of the reasons I wait a week or two after an update is released before I apply it. But there's the notes on the update right there on the Unifi website. So I suggest you go check them out. Alright, so I've already downloaded the update, so I'm going to go ahead and close the Unifi controller. And then let's go to our downloads. Let's refresh our view here. We should see today's date. Yes. Okay. So let's double click and install it. Yeah, we're going to let's go ahead and install. And you see it found version 5.12.66. Do we want to upgrade? Of course we do. Now, I strongly recommend you make regular backups of your configuration on the Unifi controller. That's, that just stands to reason. Okay, recommend you create a backup. See, I told you so. And do you have a backup? And I'm going to tell it yes, because I do. Now, I just go ahead and run my Unifi controller as a terminate and stay resident program. Boy, that's an old TSR. That's a blast from the past there. I don't go into the Unifi often enough to keep it. I just don't want to go to the trouble to put it on to a, set it up in a jail or a container or anything. I just, I run it on this machine when I need it. For example, this case, I'm going to go ahead and start the Unifi controller after the installation. So, as often as you need to get into Unifi, you can just, put it on your Windows 10 machine and launch it when you need it. That's just my opinion. Then it's starting. I'm going to go ahead and allow it access through the firewall. But you want to read that and understand what you're allowing through your firewall. I make it look easy because I've done it 100 times, And it does take some time to come up and get running. So at this point, you could simply click the hide button and it would go down and just run in the background. But I'm going to go ahead and launch a browser. The browser you're using is not supported. Some features may not work correctly. We're recommending use Chrome or Firefox. Well, that's interesting. So they don't support the new version of Edge? Because that's what I'm running. I've been duly warned. Alright, well, let's see if it updates anything, because I'm getting kind of a blankish page. Well, not really. I'm getting some information on here. But let's go to the devices and see if... See, it's provisioning. It's having to provision devices. Well, it's provisioning this one. Looks like this one has a firmware upgrade. This one has a firmware. The switch has a firmware. The switch on the work desk. Everything but the gatekeeper have firmware updates. So, I guess we ought to get those started right now, huh? Now, I'm going to go ahead and upgrade the switches first. So I'm going to do the 24-port main switch. I'm going to do the 10 gig switch, and I'm going to do the living room switch, and then I'm going to do the work desk switch. So I can go ahead and do the switch on the work desk. I can go ahead and upgrade that and show you what that looks like. So it asks you if you want to upgrade it from this version to this version. I'm going to just go ahead and confirm. Now, I won't be able to show you the 10 gig or the 24 port upgrade because I'm connected to those. And part of the upgrade is it'll reboot the switch, restart it. So you're going to lose connectivity briefly on your network. So just be aware of that. And I've got a bunch of devices to do. So we'll let the, as you can see, the work desk switch is updating. I have found that these updates take anywhere from, about 3 minutes all the way up to sometimes 10 or 15. So we'll let this run and we'll come back when it's completed. All right, so it appears that was successful. It took about less than 5 minutes. I'd say 4 to 5 minutes it took for that. Now I'm going to go ahead and update the access point here in my office. So I'll just click on the little icon up here that says upgrade. Go ahead and confirm that I want to upgrade that to the new version, and then it'll update. So we'll come back when that is completed. It started at 10:28 a.m. We'll see how long it takes to finish. All right, so that update, again, took about 4 to 5 minutes. So probably your luck is going to be 4 to 5 minutes per device. Time will tell. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and I've already started the update on the house access point. That's a Unifi AP AC Lite, and this one is a Unifi AP. This is the old original one, and this is the fairly newer AP AC Lite. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these, and then we'll come back when I'm all done with the updates, and we'll talk about why it's important to keep your hardware and your firmware updated software-wise on the Unifi devices. Well, as you can see, we have successfully updated all of our Unifi products. And so now I want to show you, even though I went ahead and did a backup before we did this install and upgrade to the controller, I also want to do a backup after the upgrade. So come down here to the settings wheel, and then I believe it's to backup. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and do a download backup for the last 7 days. In other words, it'll keep any of that data that I have been tracking here under statistics. It'll keep that 7 days worth of that data, so I could go back and see who's using the most data, etc., and for what reason. So again, settings, backup, and then just click on download file. What'll happen is it'll go out and create the file, and then it'll prompt you, where do you want to save this file to? I don't know that that's going to appear on the screen. It did. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save it to my network drive, to my applications folder. And I think I have a folder on here called Unifi. Yes, I do. And so what it'll do is it'll give you the date, the version, and a date timestamp. So 6/18/2020. 1050 is the time right now, and that's the version of the Unifi file. So I'm just going to click on save. So now I have a saved backup copy of all these settings in my Unifi directory. So if something were to get screwed up, I can go back and fix it. So I'm going to come back here to the dashboard, and it appears it all as well. So again, that was a trivial process to do that update. Now, what you want to do is you want to go out, of course, to the Unifi website, and you want to read the release notes on these updates. And I tend to wait a week or two after updates come out, unless they're critical security vulnerabilities, and I do them immediately. But otherwise, on other normal updates, I wait a week or two. Your mileage might vary. Do it any way you want to. And then when you're done, you could either go ahead and close the Unifi controller, or I just click on hide, and all it does is it puts it down here on the taskbar. So yeah, winner chicken dinner. It all looks good, and I'm getting stats. You can see the kind of traffic I have go through my system. But all my devices have now been updated. Everything appears to be working just fine. So there you go, YouTube. If you follow those steps, follow along like I did, you shouldn't have any major problems. Just be aware that if you're going to do this update in the middle, if you have a lot of equipment like I do and it's spread all over the house, it is going to affect connectivity. So you will lose connectivity on these devices once you update them, then reboot them, and then once they reprogram themselves. So be prepared for a little bit of downtime. Most of my devices took between 3 and 5 minutes to update. The USG did not require an update this time, so I guess that's good. A firmware update is what I'm talking about. So don't let the updates scare you. Don't let them bother you. Don't be too worried about them. They should go off fairly well, like mine did. But make sure you do a backup of your configuration before you make any of these changes. And then do like I did at the end of the update, do another backup so that you have an updated configuration file. That's very important. It'll save your bacon in a lot of cases. So there you go, YouTube. A short video, but an important video. It is important to keep your equipment up to date with the latest software and security fixes. So we got that accomplished. And we hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. Please don't forget to smash the like button. Leave your comments in the comments section. We're trying to go to a subscription based. Well, let me clarify that. We're going to try to use the subscription service or join button within YouTube. I'm just waiting on YouTube to confirm that I can do that. So it'll be yet another way for you to donate to this channel if you're so inclined. So I'll make an announcement. I'll do a video on that once that comes to fruition. But in the meantime, you can always go through PayPal or Patreon if you'd like to support this channel. It's greatly appreciated, all your contributions. And thanks again for coming to see us. Come back and see us again. Have a great day. And don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side.